Long ago, in a quiet little village, nestled at the edge of a deep forest, there lived a humble woodcutter and his 2 children, Hansel and Gretel. The cottage was small, its roof patched with moss, its windows glowing faintly with the warmth of firelight at night. Life was simple, but food was scarce. The father worked hard, his hands rough from chopping wood, yet his heart was gentle. Hansel, the older child, was thoughtful and clever. Gretel, younger by only a few years, was kind and full of gentle laughter. But as winter drew near, bread grew thin, and hunger crept quietly into their lives. The nights grew longer, the wind colder, and sometimes the little family sat by the fire with empty bowls. Their stepmother worried aloud, whispering harshly to the father when she thought the children were asleep. "We cannot feed them. Better to take them into the forest where, perhaps, fate will decide." Hansel and Gretel, lying awake, heard the words. Their hearts beat quickly in the dark, but Hansel held Gretel's hand. "Do not fear," he whispered. "I will take care of us." At dawn, the stepmother woke them. "Come, children, we are gathering wood today." The air was cool, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. A mist lay upon the ground as the family walked deeper into the forest. The trees grew taller with every step, their trunks rising like pillars, their branches forming a great cathedral of green. Birdsong echoed gently, and now and then a squirrel darted along a branch, watching curiously. Hansel had quietly filled his pockets the night before with smooth white pebbles. As they walked, he let one fall, then another, each one landing softly on the forest floor. To Gretel he whispered, "The moonlight will guide us home." The family stopped at a small clearing where sunlight filtered like golden lace through the leaves. The father, with sorrow in his eyes, set down his axe. "Stay here, children, while I gather wood nearby," he said. But as the day passed, the sound of chopping faded, then vanished. Hansel and Gretel were alone, yet they did not cry. They sat together, listening to the rustling leaves, the distant call of an owl, the hush of the wind. When night fell, the moon rose a silver lantern in the sky, and there, on the ground, the pebbles glimmered faintly, like tiny stars fallen from heaven. Hand in hand, the children followed them, step by step, until at last they saw the familiar outline of their little cottage. Their father embraced them, tears in his eyes, but the stepmother frowned, her heart still cold. Days passed, and the food dwindled again. The father sighed heavily each night, but the stepmother's voice grew sharper. "Once more. Tomorrow we must take them deeper into the forest." This time, Hansel searched for pebbles, but found none. He had only a small piece of bread. As they walked, he crumbled it in his hand, letting fall little pieces along the path. The forest grew darker, the trees older, their roots twisting like ancient fingers through the earth. A woodpecker tapped softly in the distance. The smell of moss and fallen leaves filled the air. At midday, the family stopped. Again, the father left them in a clearing. The children waited, but his footsteps faded, and silence surrounded them. That evening they searched for the crumbs, but the birds of the forest had eaten every one. The path was gone. The night was thick and starless, and the children trembled. Still, Hansel held Gretel close. "Do not fear. The forest is wide, but we will find a way." And so they wandered, sleeping beneath trees, sipping water from streams, nibbling berries. 3 days passed. Their clothes grew worn, their steps slower, but their bond remained strong. On the 3rd afternoon, as the sun set and painted the sky in gold and rose, they saw something glimmering in the distance. There, between the trees, stood a little house. Its walls were made of gingerbread, its roof of sweet cakes, and its windows of shining sugar. The scent of cinnamon, honey, and warm bread drifted through the air. Gretel's eyes widened in wonder. Hansel touched the sugared roof gently and tasted it. It was sweeter than anything they had ever known. They laughed softly, their weariness fading as they nibbled at the walls. Then the door opened with a slow creak, and an old woman appeared. Her back was bent, her hair white, her eyes hidden in shadow. Yet her voice was warm. "Dear children, come in. You look so tired, so hungry. Rest with me, and you will want for nothing." Inside, the house glowed with firelight. A soft bed awaited, and on the table stood bread, milk, and fruit. The children ate gratefully, warmth filling their bellies. That night, they fell asleep with smiles, the fire crackling gently beside them. But the woman was not what she seemed. She was a witch who built her house of sweets to lure children near. The next morning, Hansel awoke to find himself locked in a small wooden cage. The witch peered at him with greedy eyes. "Here you will stay," she croaked. "You will eat until you are fat, and then—" She licked her lips. Gretel trembled, but the witch ordered her about the house carrying wood, cooking meals, cleaning. "Serve me well, and I may keep you a little longer," the witch said. But Gretel was clever. Each night, when she could, she whispered to Hansel through the bars, "Do not lose hope. Be patient, brother. We will be free." The witch fed Hansel daily, demanding he stretch out a finger so she could test if he grew plump. But Hansel, quick of mind, held out a thin chicken bone instead. The witch, whose eyes were dim, muttered, "Still too thin, still too thin." And so the days passed slowly, the children waiting for their moment. At last, the witch grew impatient. "Enough waiting," she cried. "Thin or not, tomorrow I shall eat the boy." She ordered Gretel to heat the oven. "Stoke it well, foolish girl, until the flames leap high." Gretel obeyed quietly, though her heart beat fast. When the fire glowed, she turned to the witch. "Dear grandmother," she said gently, "the oven is so large, I do not know how to tell if it is ready." "Foolish child," snapped the witch. "Watch, and I will show you." She bent forward, peering into the mouth of the oven. And in that moment, Gretel pushed her firmly inside, shutting the heavy door with all her strength. The witch screamed, but soon the fire roared, and silence returned. Gretel ran to Hansel's cage. The lock opened easily now, as though magic had faded. The brother and sister embraced, tears shining on their cheeks. The house was quiet. In the corners, the children found chests of jewels, gold and silver. The light from the fire made them glitter softly, like stars fallen to earth. They filled their pockets not from greed, but with hope. Hope for a life without hunger, for days filled with warmth and safety. The forest no longer seemed so dark. The birds sang sweetly, guiding them as they walked. At last, through the trees, they saw their little cottage once more. Their father, who had long mourned their loss, rushed to meet them. He held them close, tears falling freely. Their stepmother was gone, and the family was whole again. With the treasure, they lived in comfort from that day on. But more precious than gold was the courage, cleverness, and love that had carried them through the darkest of woods. And so, Hansel and Gretel's story ends not in fear, but in peace with the lesson that together, even the smallest hearts can overcome the greatest trials. Now, dear listener, breathe slowly. Imagine the forest at night, calm and still. The moon glows softly above. The path is gentle, the air cool, and all is safe. Just as Hansel and Gretel found their way home, you too may rest, knowing that love and courage guide every step. Close your eyes, drift into dreams, and sleep peacefully. Good night.